Hello, Green Spring. We're back in the studio, and I have another guest with me now. It's Elena Keydel. You know her as the social worker, or as we now call them, resident
services coordinator.
Resident services coordinator. So there you go. And Elena is going to talk to us about something called emotional dimensions.
Yeah, so there's a new program that Erickson Living, our parent company, is rolling out at all the campuses, talking about the dimensions of wellness. So there'll be a different topic every month that's going to come out, and so they range from emotional, spiritual, physical, environmental, looking at all the different aspects of wellness. So
there are 7 dimensions,
I believe. There are 7, right? I think, total. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this month is emotional wellness, and it's sort of focused specifically on loneliness, but looking at emotional wellness overall and sort of how it fits in with our day-to-day life and Green Spring and the environment that we're in, and so you'll see articles in the Villager, and there'll be programs on GSV-TV, and there might be some forums and things throughout the year. So definitely be on the lookout for different aspects and different modes of communication about the different topics.
Okay.
So as I said, this month it's emotional wellness, and talking specifically about loneliness. And loneliness is something that's really prevalent through the older adult community. I think it's something that a lot of people have dealt with at one time or another in their life, certainly throughout their whole life, and definitely something to be on the lookout. And especially as we age, the changing of our abilities certainly can lead to loneliness. So, as our hearing or our vision maybe decreases or changes, and it's maybe a little bit harder to be in a big room and hear lots of people. And so we maybe
that leads to isolation.
So we tend to self-isolate a little bit, So, or as it's harder to walk around. We talk about how wonderful it is that Green Spring is so big and you can walk everywhere, which is a wonderful thing.
If you can.
Until it's a little harder to walk. So, part of it is definitely realigning your habits and realigning what you do, and finding new resources. And that is one way, one thing that Green Spring is so wonderful with is there are so many resources and so many things that, if your vision is changing, if you're finding you have some hearing loss or mobility loss, there are so many resources that can help, from the low vision support group to the doctors at the medical center to the physical therapists that can really help with with making sure you have the resources you need and what you need, to even an EMV for long distances. We have a lot of residents that have their scooters for the long distances, and then are still able to walk and still able to get around, just not from all the way at Oak Hill down to Village Square or something.
Right.
So definitely using the resources, the resident services coordinators, the doctors, the physical therapists, the community resources staff, that can help you find what you might need and what the different groups are for, as things are changing, that kind of thing.
So what are some other resources other than an EMV or a rollator?
In terms of mobility, you mean?
No,
or just
in terms of fighting loneliness, or not falling into that dark hole.
Well, part of it is definitely staying social. So all the different activities. We, as humans, we are a social species. We seek each other out. So, staying social, staying active, and that can even be as simple as coming down to one of the lobbies and just being with the people in the lobbies. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to start going to all the activities that are that are going on, but look at the bulletin board and find one thing that looks interesting a week and go to it. Make sure you're going to dinner. If you have a group of friends that maybe you haven't seen in a little while, giving them a call and saying, let's meet for lunch, let's meet for dinner, let's meet for a cup of coffee. Studies have shown that it's not just the quantity of time with friends, that it's also the quality. So one lunch a month with a really good friend is incredibly valuable. And using technology, pick up the phone and call your lifelong friend who lives in California. you know, email, if you're able to Skype, you know, I know some of our residents use Skype or, you know, that technology, which is a great way to stay in touch with long distance
Now,
friends.
if you don't have old friends anymore, for some people it's really difficult to make new friends.
Absolutely.
As we get older, it takes a little longer, and maybe we're a little more critical than when we were younger, a little more specific. So what's your advice there?
You know, in that sense, you don't need to have forever friends. Again, going to activities, going and having dinner, you know, if you go to the dining room and ask to get put at a table, you know, if you're a single woman, you want to get just put at a table with a group of people, they'll do that, you know. Or finding an activity that looks interesting to you. I personally love history. So for me, it would be looking at the bulletin board and finding one of the history lectures and going and you know, hearing that and meeting the people that are there. And, you know, you're not going to make your forever friends. You know, unfortunately, that's just the reality. But you can
and
still.
And it's not necessary,
and
is what
it's
you're
not
saying.
necessary, and one of the good things about, it's weird to say it this way, but one of the good things about loneliness is it can be a reminder to us. You know, there's different levels of loneliness. So there's moderate loneliness and severe loneliness. And so when most of us talk about being lonely, we're talking about moderate loneliness, which is a great wake-up call to go, okay, I need to be getting out more. I need to go get involved in activities. I need to, you know, go to the dining room for dinner, go to an exercise class, go to the gym, go for a walk. It is gorgeous outside right now.
And now
you know.
that it's getting
now
warmer,
that it's getting
you can
warmer,
just walk up to the gardens and see what's happening
exactly. Start up a conversation with somebody if you're comfortable doing that. You know, I know that can be scary for some people.
It can be a challenge. You said we are all social beings. I'm not so sure about that. I live with an introvert who's very happy to be connected to a modem and to the world that way. Not sure that she necessarily meets.
I mean, I'm an introvert myself. I absolutely understand that. But take a book and go sit in a common area and just be around people. You don't need to talk to them. You don't need to talk to them. She goes downstairs
and reads the paper that is available in all the front desks. And you have at least you have life go by, and you have all the noises that other people make and all that. And I guess for some people that's a big deal already. And I remember I learned years ago that Green Spring was designed in a way that you have to leave your apartment at least once a day and pick up your mail. So you have a chance to, you know, either talk to other people or at least see them.
Exactly.
Say hello.
You know, and even just the going to dinner, you know, you can get your dinner delivered, you know, that is an option, but we really encourage people to go out and, you know, have at least one meal out every day. Just get out and see and be seen, as it were, you know, because even just that little bit of interaction really does make a big difference and can really help with loneliness. And it also helps with the cycle of, you know, the thing with loneliness is you kind of start cycling. And so if you're able to catch it in that moderate stage, you know, then you recognize that I went to dinner and I came back in a good mood, and you know, so I'll do that again tomorrow. And you know, it helps keep you from self-isolating, you know, which is a good thing.
From sinking deeper into.
And of course, you know, we do have residents that are severely lonely, and you know, there are services through the medical center. The medical center social worker Kathleen Taylor can do counseling, talk therapy, and sometimes even just talking with somebody about, you know, what led to your loneliness, or talking to your doctor. Sometimes that loneliness can come from physical changes, health changes,
or chemical changes,
and chemical
in the brain,
changes.
right?
Absolutely, you know, so making sure your doctor knows about it. But
the trap, of course, is that once you're in that severe loneliness phase, you're not very inclined to go and see a doctor. Because you sit in a corner and, you know, are sad.
It is harder. Yeah, definitely. You know,
so do you recommend that neighbors? Obviously, we're watching out for each other. That's one of the beautiful things of living in community. But do you recommend that neighbors suggest something to you, the
Absolutely, yeah.
social worker?
If
or
you're
the,
concerned about your neighbor or a dinner companion or a friend that used to come to history club and you haven't seen in a couple months,
Yeah.
absolutely mention it to the social worker. Because we want to know, and we may know what's going on, but we may not. And,
Yeah.
we want to make sure we can check in on that resident and make
Yeah.
sure that they are okay. And, if they need resources, if they need help, if they need something, that they have what they need,
Well, it's a fine line, right? You don't want to intrude into other people's lives, but
Yeah.
you do want to be helpful if you can.
And that is
It's
why we
hard to
say,
decide.
come talk to the social worker. We'd rather have you come talk to us, because then
Uh-huh.
we can decide, what is the most appropriate action to take. And as I said, we may know what's going on.
Right.
We may know
That's
why,
right.
Why that person hasn't been coming to History Club. We're not necessarily going to tell you. We're going
Oh,
to
I
take the
hope not.
information and go,
Yes, yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
But do know we are following up on it. And even if you don't hear from us what's happening, or your friend doesn't magically reappear, we are following up on it. We are making sure that they have what they need. But yes, absolutely, please come talk to your social worker, your resident services coordinator.
Sorry, yes,
No,
yeah.
no.
Want to be precise with the titles.
Yeah. Because we do want to make sure that residents aren't falling through the cracks.
That's
and,
right.
That
Yeah.
that they have what they need.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You're certainly right. There are a lot of different opportunities here
Yeah.
at Green Spring
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be able to fight that loneliness. But you
Yeah.
have to take initiative, right?
Yeah, it does take some initiative, and
Yeah.
making sure you have what you need. And but as you said, that's really where friends can come in, really helpful and really handy. And
One thing I find interesting, next week I will have lived here for 1 year, and what I've observed and hadn't expected is that very few people go to each other's houses or apartments. They don't, people are very, and the more social ones are very out and open and love to get together, at the bistro, at the restaurant, whatever, but not really into each other's houses. I find that
interesting.
puzzling.
Huh.
Do you have an explanation for that, or is that something that you've heard
don't.
often?
I haven't heard it, but now that I think about it, I do see most residents gathering in the common spaces. And,
Yes.
getting coffee in the tables. I know there's tables in Hunter's Crossing right by the coffee, and there's
That's right.
always a group of people there
Absolutely.
chatting. And,
Yes.
and some of it is spur of the moment, and some of them is, there's a group of ladies that meet there every Friday morning kind
That's
of thing.
right.
And,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I wonder if it is just because we do have such great common spaces and places for people to
I
meet,
see.
and if that's part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting though. Yeah. Yeah.
So your advice to people as you wrap up this loneliness
Yeah,
chapter?
yeah. Definitely, just be aware of if you start to see yourself maybe becoming lonely, or start to see symptoms, or you think maybe you're isolating a little bit more, take that red flag in your head and, and come talk to somebody, or, talk to a friend. If you don't feel like you have that motivation to go to the doctor, as you said, start with a friend, but just use that opportunity to maybe get out a little bit more and take some action, and come talk to your social worker, and we can help you figure out, again, with changes in vision or hearing or a loss of mobility, or even just your, as you mentioned, social network shrinking or changing, or
Right. And the other thing that I find helpful is to remember that there are probably a lot of other people for whom it's the same. You're not the only one.
There are.
So if you were to open your mouth and talk about it, nobody's going to keel over in shock.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Very rarely do I hear something, when a resident comes to talk to me, do I hear something that I haven't heard before. It's
So
new to everybody
that's how
individually,
it is
but it's,
with being
that's
among peers.
right. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, everybody, you've heard it from the expert. Take it to heart. Don't wait until you're really, really sad and sitting in this big, dark, gloomy place. Thank you so much for coming in, Elena.
Thank you.